Our last system is the endocrine system. The endocrine system influences almost every cell, organ, and function in our bodies. It plays a role in regulating mood, growth and development, tissue function, metabolism, and reproduction. In general, the endocrine system is in charge of body processes that happen slowly, like cell growth. Faster processes, like breathing and body movement, are controlled by the nervous system. However, the endocrine system and the nervous system work very closely together. The foundation of the endocrine system are the glands and the hormones. A gland is a tissue that produces and secretes or gives off a chemical. Some glands release their chemicals in specific areas. The exocrine glands, EXOCRINE glands, the sweat and the saliva glands, secrete their chemicals right at the source. Other glands, like the endocrine gland, ENDOCRINE gland, create a hormone that is released into the bloodstream that will be carried away and used somewhere else in the body. A hormone is defined as a chemical message produced in one part of the body that has an effect on another part of the body. As I said, hormones are released directly into the bloodstream to be carried to the target cell. Once the hormone reaches the target cell will respond in a specific way. For example, adrenaline. This is released into the body when you're frightened. All of the body cells are adrenaline's target cell because the whole body runs away. Hormone production is controlled using a negative feedback system. This means that when the body needs some sort of an adjustment, hormones are released into the body. When more of a particular hormone has been created than is needed, a stop message, a negative message, is sent back to the gland, and the gland stops producing the hormone. When the resume, or the positive feedback, is received, then the gland will start producing that hormone once again. Now I want to talk about how hormones work. There are two types of hormones: lipid-soluble or steroid-type hormones, and hormones that are non-lipid-soluble or proteins and amines. If the hormone is a steroid, it can diffuse across the membrane of the target cell. Once inside, it binds to a receptor protein on the DNA. This will then activate specific genes in the DNA, and these genes will make the proteins that are needed to create the desired response. So a hormone needs a cell to behave in a particular way. It's going to send that information to the DNA. The DNA will make the protein that the cell needs to make that desired response. If the hormone is a non-steroid hormone, a protein or an amine, it can't diffuse across the membrane. Instead, it binds to a receptor protein in the cell membrane. The cell receptor protein then activates an enzyme, which in turn produces a second messenger protein. That second messenger protein then triggers the cell's desired response. Now that you know how hormones work, I want to look at some of the individual glands. I'm going to start with the pituitary. It's called the master gland because it creates the hormones that regulate the other glands of the body. The pituitary gland is made up of two parts, the anterior pituitary and the posterior pituitary. Each part creates or controls its own hormones. The pituitary gland is responsible for 6 different hormones. I'm only going to cover 3. I'm going to begin with the anterior pituitary and the growth hormone, also called GH. It stimulates growth throughout the body, and its main target cells are the bones and the muscles. The second hormone is the thyroid stimulating hormone, or TSH. It stimulates the thyroid to produce hormones. Of course, the target cell is the thyroid gland. The thyroid gland produces hormones which regulate the body's metabolism. It's also responsible for heart and digestive function, muscle control, and brain development. The posterior pituitary doesn't actually make its own hormones. The hormones that it has are created by the hypothalamus. It just stores them. One of those hormones is called vasopressin. It controls the kidneys. It helps them to reabsorb water, to prevent dehydration, and to make the body more efficient. The pancreas creates several important hormones, including glucagon and insulin. Glucagon, Glucagon, stimulates the liver to turn glucagon into glucose and to release the glucose into the blood. This increases the amount of glucose in the blood and therefore increases the amount of glucose available to the cells. The main target cells are the liver and the muscle cells. The second hormone is insulin. Insulin is the reverse of glucagon. When there's too much glucose in the blood, insulin is produced. This allows the body cells to remove the glucose from the blood and lower the glucose level. Again, the target cells are the liver and the muscle cells. Glucagon and insulin work together to regulate the amount of glucose in the blood. The thyroid creates the hormone thyroxine. Thyroxine regulates the body's metabolism. Remember, metabolism includes all the chemical reactions that happen in the body. If too much thyroxine is made, an individual has a condition called hyperthyroidism. This condition makes the metabolism too high. Some of the symptoms of hyperthyroidism can be irritability, nervousness, and weight loss. Too little thyroxine creates the condition called hypothyroidism. Some of these symptoms can be sluggishness, sleepiness, and weight gain. The last gland I'm going to cover is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is located just above the brainstem and the pituitary gland. One of its major functions is to maintain homeostasis. It responds to signals from the internal and external environment like body temperature, hunger, blood pressure, and overall hormone circulation in the blood. It produces vasopressin, and I talked to you about this when I talked about the posterior pituitary. It also produces hormones that regulate the production of other hormones in a way similar to the pituitary gland. It regulates the growth hormone produced by the anterior pituitary gland and thyroxine produced by the thyroid. One of the most important things about the endocrine system is how closely it works with the nervous system. The nervous system sends nerve impulses along the neurons to create a fast body response. The endocrine system works in a similar manner. It sends hormones throughout the body, but in this case it works to get a slow body response. Nerve impulses control rapidly changing activities like muscle contractions. The endocrine system is going to deal with long-term body adjustments such as homeostasis and growth. This is the end of the endocrine system and the human body system survey.